All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the official Trade Talk channel where I show you how I analyze price for the most consistent and higher probable entries to help you all become better traders. Today, we're going to be looking at a few assets. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, S&P 500, NASDAQ all pumping first thing this morning. We do have some big news events coming up. Bright screen real fast, but if I go over here to today, you're gonna see that we don't really have much on the docket for today. But tomorrow we do have you got PPI coming up. That will be at 8:30 in the morning, and then tomorrow at 2 o'clock you're going to have the FOMC minutes. It's just the minutes. It's not a press conference. They're just gonna throw out some dot plot matrices or whatnot. So not really much a whole lot there. And then naturally on Thursday, we have the big day. We have the big stuff coming in here with core inflation year over year. And you can see here 8.1% is expected or forecasted. We got 8.3% last month, and the market literally took a dump. So I'm assuming that if we get an 8.1, you're going to probably see just about the same kind of price action as last time, as investors are anxiously waiting for inflation to kind of start going lower. So what you have to be aware of, excuse me, what you have to be aware of coming into today and then even tomorrow is that if you're getting bid today and it's getting like really good bid like you are currently seeing here, you don't necessarily want to be looking to take a short entry. On Bitcoin, we have already annihilated the high of day. We have pushed up, made fresh high after high after high on Ethereum, fresh high after high after high on NASDAQ, as well as the S&P 500. So, I mean, the market's specifically telling you today that it is looking to be bullish. All right, so taking a short here, is it advised? I think overall it is, but we need to wait until it gets to one of our high probable areas to look for that short trade. So it's been a little bit difficult trading the last few weeks, I'll admit. Non-farm payrolls on Friday, first entry not so good, second entry perfect. Ended up making all that what I lost on the first entry terribly. Made all that back really easily. Just shorting the high of day. But if you're looking for a liquidation break trade or a reversal, typically you want to do that on a news day, on a day with a high impact news event, not necessarily on a normal day, because like I said in the video I put out the other day, and like we've been discussing a lot on this channel, when we take those setups, it's a very risky setup, because if you're not using the news to do the liquidation break, if you're just expecting that to happen on a normal day, you're going to get ran over. You're going to try to short the high of day, you're going to get stopped out. So yeah, I'm not really expecting to take a short here. Let's pull Bitcoin up on the big time frame here, as I do have a lot of stuff going on here. So we have a potential target there. That's where we were looking to take our short entry, not at the high of day. The high of day was down in here. You can see that all this is like Saturday's low and then Sunday's low. Those are two areas where the market could find resistance, and you are looking for continuation to the downside. The problem is on the weekly range, we're red, we're bearish. So typically you do want to look for that. The weekly open on Bitcoin provided a fantastic short opportunity yesterday. We'll go into that a little bit, but either this green area or this white area, this is typically where I'm going to be looking for potential short entries. But naturally, I want to see it trading under this when the market opens at 9:30, right? I don't want to take it just yet. We got an hour until the market opens. We want to see what the market does on open. If we get a little bit of a sell-off, then you have to kind of be respectful of that, expecting that there could be potential bullish continuation all the way up until the news prints tomorrow, Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow and Thursday. Thursday we will be streaming the CPI print live. I will not be streaming the PPI print. Yes, it can bring about volatility. It is the thing that the Fed likes to look at, but I don't think it's going to bring as much volatility as Thursday's CPI. And since Thursday is a normal live streaming schedule, we're just going to stick with that, and we'll just go live Thursday, and then we'll see if we can't catch a liquidation break trade on that day. But for right now, we're going to see if we can short Bitcoin today or potentially get a long. So let's discuss the analysis that I have on deck for you right now. So this morning in the Trade Talk Discord, we were discussing daily support right here. I mean, you had a beautiful, fantastic pullback into daily support. You closed right on daily support. The next hour, which was at 6 a.m., I started it a little bit earlier this morning. I came to the desk at 5. So, I've been sitting here in front of the chart since 5 o'clock. This right here was a phenomenal opportunity for entry. So if we go into the 5-minute time frame, you can see this right here. It's 5 o'clock. You trade down to daily support. And then right in here, you could have been taking that entry, throwing your stop under that, and then you can see what has happened since. I don't know why we got such a nice move to the upside here at, the last part of 7 o'clock. If I had to guess, it would probably be because people were watching hourly resistance, looking to short Bitcoin, and boom, nice explosion right through the resistance level. This was your original high of day, so naturally, people were probably looking for the liquidation break short there. But I told members in the Discord to wait for $19,250. You can see this green line right here is $19,250. Price traded right there, and that is where you are kind of getting that rejection. So if you are wanting to take the short on Bitcoin right now, entry would be roughly $19,229 on a retest of it. You take the short entry there. You throw your stop above the high of day. Your profit target objective would be a 2-to-1 risk to reward. So if you line that up, a short position would look something similar to this. Get that stop over that high. Take the entry right around in there. So you would need price to go down to 19,129, which is just below the previous high of day. So that would be the profit target. Obviously, if you do get that push, you would be taking profits, moving your stop to break even, because as of right now, even though you're bearish on the week, today you are bullish and you are seeing a pretty good size move. In bearish markets, we do look to sell swing highs. That's what we do. I could pull up my Bitget account and show you all the entries that I've taken for the last 3 trades that I've taken on Bitcoin, and you would see that all 3 of them are like almost the top ticks. Yesterday was at the weekly open, so we can go over here to the weekly open right here. I did take an entry a little bit beforehand, but then I doubled up right there at the weekly open because I assumed this move here was going to be faded. Look at this test of the weekly open, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 5-minute time frame. Your 5-minute pushes right up into Trade Talks short entry and then falls immediately away from there. And this is where we are currently. So you have made a swing low down here. This is your low on the week. You are pushing up. If you fib that range, which you currently have, weekly open to the weekly low, you can see that you are trading right into the 618 retracement right now. So yeah, this is the area of which I said to look for those short entries. Typically, you want to take the entry there. You don't really want to wait on the pullback because you might not get a pullback. And then if you do get a pullback, there's nothing that says it's going to stop because this is bullish. And you know how retail loves to buy the tops of these markets. So everybody and their brother right now that is watching the charts is probably hitting the buy button. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, that would be fantastic if they are hitting the buy button up here, because then once price starts to melt away a little bit, you would get a nice move to the downside. The markets are even today, so you're trading in equilibrium. You got 8.896K bid and an 8.76K ask. All right, so that just simply means that the bids are just a little bit in the lead today. Typically doesn't matter because with market makers, they provide liquidity. So it doesn't matter if you got more buying than selling. Doesn't really matter if you got more selling than buying. The market is still going to go wherever the market decides to go. As we know, the market tends to move in the direction that hurts the most participants. So price as in itself is just an advertising mechanism to get you to FOMO into those positions. But here we do not FOMO. We wait for price to hit our areas. This is where I was looking for the short. Price traded up right to it. Like I said, your take profit level is going to be right under the old high of day. That would put you at a perfect 2-to-1 risk to reward if you're able to enter. Apologies on getting the stream started. I mean, this just started happening. I thought that this wouldn't happen until 9:30, but it did. It happened. It's already happened. So yeah, you got 45 minutes left until you get the 9:30 New York Stock Exchange open, and upon that, you could get the retest back up into this area. Remember, there is a possibility that this isn't where it rolls over, that it could trade all the way up to 1930 or 19,321 before rolling over. So waiting on the short entry to up there could potentially be the better entry. But if you start trading above that, then it's going to look like it wants to test the weekly open again. And I won't necessarily like that for downside continuation. I want to see the market trading under the weekly open, moving on as we get deeper and deeper into the week, as that is suggestive that you would see more downside. So I put out a tweet 2 or 3 days ago that basically said, as long as we are trading under monthly support, I will be selling swing highs. That's exactly what I said. Let's clear up the screen and let's just see what we've gotten from that. All right, so we're going to go over here to the hourly time frame, get off of the 5-minute. Actually, I want the monthly time frame for just a split second so I can show you this monthly support. Right there is monthly support. That is the level. As long as Bitcoin is trading under it, I will remain bearish. The reason is simple. Because you have made a monthly high for the month of October. You traded up above September's open, and then you rolled over. All right, you rolled over. For the last 3 weeks, we have made fresh weekly high after fresh weekly high. You can see them here. Once this trap candle was established as a trap, you had 2 other weeks that were higher than the other. So yeah, it's not looking really bullish. Look at that monthly support right there. It is also weekly supply. And as of right now, that is what is keeping price lower. So here is your current weekly range. This white line was yesterday's short entry at 19,442 spot 70. Since I only do the live streams on Thursdays and Tuesdays, if you want to trade live every single day with me, there is a link in the description for that. But moving on, you can see here that you tested last week's open and you kind of are getting a bounce there. You actually took out the low of last week. So there was a lot of buying going on here. Last week I was saying that as long as this open holds up, as long as you're not trading under 18,806, there is a possibility that you see bullish continuation. This is the last thing for me to even be looking to be bullish at, would be 18,806, simply because of volatility and how tight it is and how we could potentially see volatility expansion. And if you do get volatility expansion, then you're going to the upside. You want to see that happen. Bullishness will ensue. But if you get a volatility expansion when price is breaking down, it's typically not good. So I will be bearish as long as we're trading under here, with the slight caveat that if price gets to 18,806, I would watch how it reacts. If we break down below 18,806, then the only thing that you can look for is expansion lower. First target, September's low. Secondary target, June's low. All right? But it is still early in the week, and we could be forming the weekly low, or we could already have the weekly high. It is what it is. Today's Tuesday. That's the rules. All right? So you have to decide which side of the ball do you want to play on. Do you want to be a bear? Do you want to be a bull? If you wanted to be a bull, your opportunity was daily support. That was today. That has already happened. That daily support is right there. Once again, if you go back into it, you can see there that you tested it to perfection at 5 o'clock. And so far you have seen a move to the upside. So the current areas that we are looking for Bitcoin to potentially roll back over, first area being 19,250, and then this being the second area. You do have potential supply a little bit higher, but since this candle is so small, it's essentially just a doji, I would just watch the closing price of that candle for potential resistance. That is also your weekly open is just a little bit down there. So today's Tuesday, there's your Monday candle, there's your Sunday candle. All right? So that is the weekly open as well. So, yeah, if we get above that, you can look for higher prices. There are bullish targets up there, but as long as you look like this, you're going to be potentially seeing more bears come into the market. So why? Excuse me. Why? The reason is these swing lows right here. All right? So if we get rid of this, why did you see such a big move down on Monday with no news? It's simple. Let's go ahead and play this one time. Boom, here. This is Sunday's candle. This is your weekly open. And if you see here, you got this swing low right there, then another swing low, then a higher swing low. So people were assuming that this was getting ready to pull a reversal back to the upside. You were slightly trading under the 50. But we know traps exist. That is what everybody was expecting to happen. So people were watching support to get long, and then you just flat out lost it, right? So this is what it kind of looked like as it played out for the rest of the week until we are here. This is the level everybody was watching to get long, expecting, swing low, lower low, higher low to be the reversal, and then that bad boy right there come out. That was when all the stops were initiated, and then you traded up to the weekly open there and rolled over. So that's where we currently are sitting on the weekly range. On the daily range, we are pushing higher, but we are probably still looking to be a seller. So I don't know if it's going to give us another opportunity here at 9:30 or not, but we will be watching it, and we will take it if it does. So that's what we're currently looking at. Next area for potential short targets or for short entries would be 19,321. The thing about taking a short today before the news is if it is going to be a short, then we know that the market will likely trade up near the highs, then purge the highs like it usually does, and then roll over. So the short trade might not even be today. It could be Thursday, right? You could get bullish price action for these 2 days, and then Thursday finally roll over, if it's even going to roll over. We don't know what it's going to do, but we do know that the more often it gets sold into, the less likely it is to continue higher. If you look at the 4-hour time frame since the CPI print, this was the last CPI print. We've literally went nowhere since the lows were put in there. Then you smoked the low here, and then the market had a propensity to try to move up after smoking the CPI low with this wick. You can see how it was putting in higher lows, but not really getting any bullish momentum nor bearish momentum. And here we currently are, just in the middle of the range that we've been inside of for months. This is last month. That is last month. Thursday will be 1 month ago to that day. You've done nothing. You've been trading absolutely disgustingly sideways. Very bad. S&P 500, on the other hand, trading fantastically lower. I mean, this is a trend, a beautiful trend at that. Absolutely phenomenal. Nice bullish rally there. Made another high, and then it rolled over. So what I'm trying to basically say, when you're trying to short the initial move, you may catch something like this, where you get, 3 or 4-hour candles that roll over. But then eventually, the next day, you get the run up, stopping you out. Then you get the real move. So if that's what we're kind of getting today, then we have to be, we have to expect it, or at least know that it's there on the table. Right here seems to be what you're trading up to. That is a perfect supply test on the S&P 500. So we'll see what happens at the market open at 9:30. So until that happens, let's put them all up here, and I will answer a few questions. Let me get Bitcoin up over there on the top right, as that's where it belongs. But that might have been the opportunity. We'll see what happens here in a little bit. Good morning, traders. Good morning. Good mornings. A lot of good mornings. Buenos dias. ADA just took set a new bear market low at 38 cents. ADA USD. Is this the one that we were I don't know if I have it on the watch list or not. Yeah, that is pretty bad. Oof. Yeah, it was a nice move lower. But see, you've taken out all the lows, so you got to be very careful about looking for new shorts down there. You're typically wanting to get short and then aim for the lows, right? Not think about getting short once you make new lows, because we know that once you liquidate old swing lows like that, you can get big bounces, and you are currently getting a decent bounce from it today. It's not a massive bounce, but today's candle is a pretty big candle. That's your open there. So you've tested the daily open. Made a fresh bear market low at the open yesterday. And then since that happened, you've just been trading higher. So, yeah. I don't know if I would trade that. I have Link on the table here, but Link is also doing pretty much the same thing. It had a pretty big down move yesterday. I mean, if you would have been watching Link yesterday, you would have been looking there for short entries, right? Just because that's supply. That's where you'd have been looking for your short entry. I mean, you can see that wick right there, right? That's where you would have been looking for your short entry. It was also a beautiful supply on the hourly time frame right there. So that was the entry to take on Link. When you have a big expansion, the next day can just be sideways. It can just be sideways the next day or two. However, you have gotten downside continuation on today's daily range. So is this an opportunity to get short? Well, you're not in any resistance levels. You're not in any kind of supply. You're not in anything. So I typically don't like to get short there. 8 hours doing nothing. 4 hour, there's nothing here that would take, or that would coax me into taking that position. Nope, nothing at all. Nothing at all. And you do have a rather large expansion here, but one could argue that that is not inefficient because this low is here. So price did make a very wide inefficient zone there, but it had already traded into that region of price first and foremost. So once it made the high, it traded down to 738. Then you traded up, then vastly moved away. So people would be looking for inefficient zone there. But if I just put a line right here, you can see how this hourly candle traded right up to that. So is this all inefficient? Yeah, we'll know if price trades up into it. But it's still like, that's me begging for an entry, where on Bitcoin, we had a game plan before we even got there. So like, let me just do this real quick. So right there today at 8:01 a.m., watch 19,250 for today's high. That was an hour ago I said that. So where were we at 8 o'clock? Right here at 8 o'clock. When I made that statement, we were trading here. Boom, there you are. You traded up there for 20 minutes and you rolled away. So this would essentially be the candle to be taking profits to nail the 2-to-1 risk to reward off of what I said to be, potentially the high. It's not the exact high. There is 2 5-minute wicks through it, but I mean, damn, that's pretty close. That would have been easily You could manage your risk easily off of that. No problems. But we did just look at ADA jewelry. It looks just like Link here. It did have a pretty outsized move, but there's no reason to look at it today. The trade has already happened on it, right? That's a very big expansion to the downside. It has already occurred. And once again, there is literally no level there for me to watch for entries. At best, I could say watch today's open, but you have all of this. Once again, one could argue that price is already traded in there, but that was so long ago, and price immediately left the area. So, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to see a retest on ADA in the next couple days, at least up into this area here or old support at 41 cents. Will it? I don't know. But there's nothing in this daily range to give me any points of potential entries for downside entries. No, your best play on 88 would have been to short it there at the daily supply zone. You're bearish. You know you're bearish. Right here on this day, you took out support. See how you took out support with the close? Then supply was formed and you traded away. So here on Tuesday, October the 4th, that would have been your short entry. Or the next day, or even the day after. So you had 3 days to get short on ADA. Right there. It's the same levels that we discussed on this channel. Day after day after day after day, week after week after week after week. That would have been the entry, not now. Now you're taking the entry after the trade has already occurred. So that's what we call chasing price, or FOMO. More chasing than FOMO, but you get the point. There's nothing to do on Cardano today. If you want to buy it because it made a fresh bear market low, be my guest. Yeah, I mean, you are making lower lows and lower highs. But if you think that's going to be the low, buy it. Throw your stop under the low of day. See what happens. Maybe it does. Maybe this does become the low and you do break out. If you get a very low CPI print on Thursday, like say a 7.6 or a 7.5, yeah, you're going to see a lot of these markets rip, in my opinion. That is just my opinion, but I think that's what would happen. Get a really good wide beat and still much lower, because then that will tell investors that inflation has probably been dealt with. And then the Fed would likely start to hint of easing on the rate hikes, which some people have been calling the Fed pivot. If you can, I mean, you can argue that for them to stop raising 75 basis points is a pivot, but is it really? We discussed this Sunday in the Sunday live stream. It's not really. I mean, yeah, they're becoming less hawkish, but is that a pivot? It's more or less just hitting the brakes. A pivot is when you pivot, right? Pivot was what happened in November when they were uber dovish, and then they said we're going to do a 180-degree pivot and become hawkish. But you could call it a pivot if you want. But I would just say they're less dovish. I wouldn't call it a pivot. I would just simply say, yeah, if they're still hiking interest rates, they're just less hawkish if they rate hike less than 75 basis points. But we pretty much already know they're going to do 75 basis point rate hike anyway already. You know what I mean? For this next FOMC meeting that we have, that's not going to be tomorrow. That's just going to be the minutes. You're not going to get a rate decision until the next FOMC. But yeah, a lower CPI could absolutely make them think that they could probably start slowing at the rate at which they hike interest rates. Which, in my opinion, would be very bullish for the markets. There are so many people that are just standing by with so much capital on hand to invest. It is Q3, but what they want to know is, what is inflation doing? I can tell you something else. If you get a higher number than 8.3, you're probably going to see a nasty, nasty down move. And on, most of my stuff, I'm already situated for that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Bitcoin is pulling fastly away from that 19,250 area that we were watching. NASDAQ, this is just today's range, the fib, or is it the week? I can't remember. Let's see if it's the weeks. No, it's just today. Yeah, it's just from today's swing high to today's swing low. And that's typically the outer bounds of where you would be wanting to look for a retracement. So that is a Fibonacci retracement. Usually it'll be like 786 there. I don't know why mine says 702. I couldn't tell you. But the actual fib number, I think, is like 786. But still, these are the three that everybody watch. I typically only look at the 50% retracement, which is just the midpoint of your candle range, and the 618. Midpoints are very important because most brokerages, that's how they, or exchanges, that's how they delineate spread, is on the midpoint. Or your entries will sometimes, your stops will sometimes get triggered based, even though price doesn't hit your stop loss, that's going to be based on the spread. And they do that off the midpoint. So yeah, midpoints are very important in candlesticks. But yeah, ADA, I mean, it looks like it's breaking down. We're not breakout traders on this channel. We do not do that. We wait for, high probable areas to look for trade entries, and breakdowns are not high probable trade entries. But there is an obvious descending wedge there. Very obvious. And a lot of these things are going to do whatever Bitcoin does too. So if risk does find a bottom, find a low, if you will, then they become really bullish again. A lot of these things will too. A lot of them will too. Good to hear your voice once again. Thank you, Craig, for being here. Hi, Swiss yen. Yeah, let's go look at Swiss yen. This thing has been very bullish lately, based solely on yen weakness. And then the Swiss franc came out in the middle of nowhere and started to do pretty impressive rate hikes. It does look like it's losing a bit of steam here. You can see an obvious support zone right there. So I don't think I'd be looking to get short there, but you could watch yesterday's open. You can see that today you did trade up above that a little bit, closing an hourly above it, but then the next hourly printed something like that. So if you are expecting this to roll over and break down below support, this is your daily support. You're really close to it. Maybe watch intraday resistance at 146.205. Not the daily resistance, the intraday resistance. If it gets back up there. That's a pretty momentous move off the lows that once again was when? During London. Also, there's another asset that I was looking at for potential short opportunities, but today it didn't play out because we closed above the level I was watching, which was here on the pound yen. I want you to look at this. At 2 a.m., you put in this candle Was the low of day, guess what time? The London session. So essentially at 3 o'clock in the morning, you could have just blindly bought pound yen and you would be up big on the day. You hear me say that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again because it happens over and over and over and over and over again. You London traders, in my opinion, are the luckiest people on earth. The London session literally prints free money. If you get stopped out, then you're just wrong on that day. Try it again the next day or back test it. Just look at the hourly time frame on your favorite Forex pair and see how many times did 2 and 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time cause a reversal. It happens so frequently. So frequently. Yeah. So Swiss franc, if it rolls over, watch yesterday's open. You want to see that act as resistance in the days to come. But if you start closing hourlies higher than that, then you're going to have to look for a higher price. Basically, it's going to do like this big move here was based on the pound, and also the yen did intervene as well. But it's just one of those things. So you're bearish on the week. Watch the weekly open. That's the best I could say for on Swiss franc, Japanese yen. The weekly open is 146, 152, 146 spot 152 on Oanda's data feed. Excuse me. You have weekly support setting right below it at 146 spot 101. Those are the two areas at where I would be looking for potential short entries as long as resistance holds there. That is your weekly open here, weekly support there. So this was probably the opportunity to do that. If you are going to continue bearish on the week. We never know if an asset is going to continue the direction it is, but we do know that usually weekly candles, highs or lows are in by Wednesday. Figuring out if it's the high or low, well, that's on us. And given the price action that you're currently seeing, there's a pretty good chance that says that this right here will be the weekly high. If you start closing hourlies above these two areas, then leave it alone. You can see that awesome supply zone right there on the hourly time frame. That would have been a fantastic entry. Right? That's your weekly open. You trade up, then you instantly roll over. So we know that people were selling. The Asian session, they were selling, not buying. Even though that candle is green, they were selling. Because look what happened after it closed. Just straight down. So that would have been the spot to look for bearish entries. Let's see if it continues lower from there. Bitcoin still coming off. We got 15 minutes until the open. What's the difference between the 25 and the 45 Discord options? There's a 25 and a 50. The $50 one, I just put it out, you know what I mean? Basically for anybody that wanted to donate. The Discord is completely set up on donations. It's not a course or anything. It's just, it gives you 24/7 access to ask me questions, either inside the Discord or private message on Discord. That's typically what I spend most of my time doing, is answering questions. But the $25 gives you access to the Discord. The $50 makes you a baller inside of the Discord. So you get, you know, a couple other extra things. But yeah, you can get there just by doing the hedge fund tier. The hedge fund tier gets you access to the Discord. All right, so, but, you know, sometimes, like, entries will occur when I'm not live, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes entries are early, sometimes they're later. But that's what I do from, every single day. I come to my office at 6 o'clock in the morning and I trade until I'm done, until I don't see a setup or until I think it's over with, which is usually around 11ish, right? Sometimes you'll get some stuff breaking out on the stock market side after, 10:30, 11 o'clock, but that'll be based solely on news, like how we had Twitter and Tesla. We also had a couple other stocks doing some big things the other day. Last week, we had Mattel breaking down from their investor day. You'll get big moves later on in the day, but typically the best moves will happen early on into the session. Wait to get under 20 and then get out. Close above 20. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. What is your thoughts on the DXY? Yeah, let's go look at the DXY. The DXY pulled into support and it has been bouncing. Today it looks a little bit weak. So a lot of people are going to be looking for this to be a lower high. And if you think about when it's happening, like, a couple days before CPI, that's a pretty big reveal if you ask me. Technically, you still have to look at it as bullish because it is bullish. This was a pullback and it got bought up. So I think what you may see a couple more days of sideways here today, maybe tomorrow, if the PPI number is really low or something, it might give it another push lower. But if you think the dollar is going to roll over, if you're in the camp that thinks the bear market lows are in, then you're going to be looking for resistance to hold. Right now, resistance is 113, 178. That could change given where the dollar closes today. If you close above 113, 178 today, then I would be watching that closing price for potential resistance moving forward. If CPI comes in much lower than 8.1%, I think the dollar will roll over. I just honestly do. What I think investors are waiting for is that. They want to see if inflation is going to continue to go up or is it coming off. If it is coming off 0.2% isn't enough. But if you just look at Bitcoin since the last CPI, that tells you everything. It tells a story. Even though it hasn't been doing anything, it still tells you a story, right? Here was last month's CPI. It just came in 0.2 lower. It was a miss. They were expecting a lower number. It didn't come in that low. Boom, sold off. And then for the next week or so, you got downside continuation. Then it just stopped. Just the volatility and volume just dried up. Didn't go anywhere. What my opinion is, this is big time investors selling their positions. All this is retail trying to buy the lows. So if we get another terrible print on CPI, you're going to probably see another range of expansion this volatile, that violent even, if the number comes in higher or just right at expectations. I think lower than expectations, like anything lower, 8.1 all the way down into the sevens is going to cause a big green candle. But since you broke out of this trend line, people are trying to buy this and buy this and buy this and buy this. And it's based solely on the weekly RSI. But last week you closed under. To be fair, if it is going to continue up, that is a good place to see it happen. The weekly RSI has broken out of its trend line, is why. So if you put this trend line from the all-time high, which is here, down to this swing high right there, the same trend line that I have here on price, your all-time high down, this is already broken out. So this signal right here is what's got everybody so bullish on Bitcoin, technically, from the technical analysis side. I think what you're going to need is to see inflation lower before bids are going to come back. So if you get a lower inflation print, I think the dollar rolls over. Higher inflation print, the dollar breaks out. and goes on up, and the 120 potentially. Yeah. So it's going, you're just going to have to watch where it closes today and tomorrow. CPI is Thursday. But we'll see what happens. We got another, still got 22 minutes before the high. How much would it cost to take you on a date? Oh, man, you don't have that kind of money. You don't have that kind of money because I'm worth it. I am so sexy. You can't even imagine what kind of money that would cost. What's your thoughts? Oh, yeah, read that. Fib levels to watch after the 50 through to the 1 are 618, 786, and 886. Yeah, but I mean, if you're thinking about the 946 on the Fibonacci retracement, it's not that's almost a 100% retracement. At that point, it's not a retracement. You know what I mean? So like that's the reason why I only look at those two really, because the 50 is not a Fibonacci number. It's just the midpoint. The 50%, that is not an actual Fibonacci number. The 618, the 786 are Fibonacci numbers. But, you know, the 786s generally are along the outskirts of what most people would be looking at as, like, to be considered as a retracement. Once you get above that, it's starting to look like something a whole lot more different. Right? Something a lot different. But we still have, like I said, 10 minutes until the market opens, and this has been bullish. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see it find support in here. There's just not really, I mean, Bitcoin is bouncing off of today's open. So if you're bullish on Bitcoin, then this is about where you're going to be looking for bullish entries. Right now, right where you are. So if you're bullish on Bitcoin, you know, see what happens during the open. If you get a nasty down candle, see if it gets bought back up on the next session, and then potentially use that as your stop. Target 19,250 for another high. I think 321 is going to be the top, but I could be wrong. I mean, it's just my opinion. But as a day trader, all we need to do is be able to operate inside of the daily range, right? You can be long and short on the same daily range if you're taking small risks and your target profits are tiny as well, right? You could be a tick trader if you want. You better have a really good exchange for that, or at least an exchange that'll give you cheap entries and exits, because if you're going to be a liquidity provider, you can get good deals like that. But that's typically all they're doing. Just buy it, and then if it goes in their direction a tick or two, they close it, and then they look to do it again. There's a lot of different styles and strategies that you can implement on a daily, inside of a daily range. There's a lot of room inside of a daily. Today looks, today on the dollar, it looks like it is stumbling a bit. Typically, when you take out the previous day's high and then reject, it does suggest that you are running out of momentum, right? Like this, you traded yesterday under resistance there for a little bit, and then above it today, and then straight back under it. But it's not a big range either. Not a big range, but you're trading out. You're not inside yesterday's range. You did make a new high. So yeah, and Bitcoin did take out last week's low. We've already discussed that. Down here, it took out last week's low. So that could be the very reason why you're getting a bounce right now on Mr. Bitcoin. There's last week's low right there. See, Yeah. Right there. Ooh. Took it out, bounced, and been bouncing ever since. Right up to where I said to look. I just couldn't get live in time to get the entry out there. S&P 500 trading right back down to the point of control, which is just where the most volume traded. It does not mean that it's going to bounce there. It just means that this is the price at which most volume has traded today. That's all it means. And it is, judging by this, you can see that the blue is bigger than the yellow. So the bids, there was more bids happening at 35.92 than there was asks. So it could be a place to see a bounce. I don't like this candle there. That looks bad. I mean, your trend is down, ladies and gentlemen. So your typical response is to be looking to sell the daily highs if you can. Right? Sometimes on a news event, you get lucky and you get a spike above, and then that's where your entry is. But that happens mostly on news events. If you try to do that every single day, you're going to get ran over eventually because markets tend to trend. So just look to be in the direction of the trend until the trend changes. Bitcoin, it looked like it was trying to do a reversal the other day there because you had that low, a lower low, and then a higher low. So it did look like you were going to see a reversal, and then boom, Monday, straight down. So that's why I was looking there for the next short entry, was because if you did get that retracement, you're retracing back 50% the range here. This is a breakdown. That's a legit breakdown. People were buying this, expecting it to bounce based off of the daily Heath level there or your demand zone. And then the fact that you had this, what looked to be a reversal pattern, people were watching daily support for bullish entries. And then it just crashed right down through it. That's why today we were looking for this to be the reversal place. I can't even speak today. But we'll see if it continues lower. You've pretty much refilled all this. That's your last down closing 5-minute candle before the expansion. This would have been a good spot to look for bullish entries. Also, remember, you're around the open of the day. You're around the open. There is your open. If you think there's going to be more bullish continuation today, then this is the bullish entry. If price gets back above 19,130, you take the long, you set it under the low, this low, and see if it goes. Will it? I don't know. I'm bearish. All three parts on the Bitget exchange, all three futures contract side, your coin M margin contract, your tether margin contracts, or USDC margin futures, all three of those, I have short entries in place. Yesterday, I took a short on the tether account, the tether side, at the weekly open test. It was a beautiful trade yesterday. On the USDC side of the platform, I'm still short from the CPI print last month. So this trade has costed me more just sitting in it, waiting for the breakdown. I should have closed it out and re-entered it lower. And then on the CoinM side of the account, the entry Friday on FOMs or non-farm payrolls. So all three of them are setting in short positions. All three of them in profits. So I'm not looking to be a buyer on Bitcoin here. I need to see that really lower CPI print before I become bullish again. To be honest with you, I want to see Bitcoin trading above monthly support. As long as it's under monthly support, support can absolutely act as resistance. So as long as we're under that, I'm just going to be looking for downside continuation. Also wanted to say I really liked your strategy vid the other day on regarding liquidity breaks. Would love to see more strategy videos from you in the future if you are keen to make them. I am. I'll probably make more strategy vids again once Bitcoin starts to become bullish again. And once people become bullish, once the markets become bullish again, then more interest will come back into, YouTube. Right now, there's just no interest for my videos. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. They're not performing well at all. And when you don't perform well on YouTube, YouTube penalizes you for that. They essentially throw a lid on your shit. You get no help from the algo, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll see here. DXY pushing down a little bit, then finding support. I don't know if I like that. So you've tested the previous day's high. So if there wasn't any inefficiency there, it's been looped, it's been closed. That's where people's, looking to be a buyer again. Yeah, and there you go. S&P 500 breaking down below the point of control. So, that was your entries, ladies and gentlemen, to the short side on today. You're at where you should have been taking profits already. I just got in about 10 minutes too late. But I was trying to get here. Nice little move there. Let's go look at USD JPY because it is one of my favorite assets to look for short entries if the dollar does indeed make a lower high. And the simple reason is because, well, it's breaking out. This, in my opinion, will be a very fantastic place to watch moving forward. And there's still open space above that. So 145.901 is that price on the USD JPY. USD JPY. If you're going to get a lower CPI print, that's where I would love to take a short trade on that lower print. So what I want to see for the next 2 days is this thing trade sideways in a range under 145.901. I don't often get what I want though. So we'll see how that plays out. But I don't think I'll take the short trade on it until CPI. If it's trading above that upon CPI, then maybe I'll look to see where the high is there, but never know. You got a little bit of a dip down here, back into daily support on the SPX. There is your daily support right there. You can see how you traded down to it. You're right back above it. People will be looking to be a buyer here. You can already see it. Look at the point of control. So this is basically the tool that I use to design the strategy, because I was looking for places like in the beginning, it was difficult for a new trader to decide where even do you look to take entries, right? So I started using the point of control or the volume profile to see where the point of control was throughout every single day. And what I started to notice over and over and over again is, at your daily closes, a lot of times you see this stuff happen. Every single one of my videos I've ever made on YouTube outlines that. That is objective support, not subjective support. It's objective support. That's where the market closed. That's where the point of control is. So if market's going to trade higher, a lot of times you will get these tests right here and see it happen. Daily support on Bitcoin is a little bit harder to identify because you technically have two of them. You have this one here and you have this one here. The reason I say that is because this candle made this break down because it did close under this a trap. So a lot of times what I do is if a candle confirms a trap, You get a breakdown below support and then an immediate bullish reaction, I tend to revert back to the original support level. That's what you're testing now. That's the original support level. This is the last or lowest support level. Mr. Pepe is greeting us with his presence. That is because the trash man just rolled by, or the recycle guy. Next suggested take profit on Bitcoin short. Well, that was there, right? That's why I told you to take profit there, because that's where daily support was. I told you to take it a little bit higher than that. Remember, I told you to take it roughly in this area. So I don't know if you'll get a next area to take profits. I never know what the market's going to do. Sometimes it looks like I do because these areas have reactions. Yes, baby, give me a second. You get reactions at these areas, but that doesn't mean I knew that was going to happen. This is why you're supposed to take profits. Then you just move your stop to break even, and then whatever you leave on the trade, you leave that on for potential continuation. Because you're at daily support. It could bounce here. The next area to take potential profits would be maybe yesterday's low. 19,028. I don't know that it'll get there, but that's intraday support. See how intraday candles formed there? That's intraday support. Well, that sucks because I missed that entry. Trying to get the thing live, I was unable to get in that entry. Yes, baby. Hang on. Let the dude go away. Ed throwing up the peppy emote. I like it. Thank you, Ed, for building that. It looks so cute. That is an actual picture of him as well. Fantastic stuff, Mr. Ed. Thank you so much, my friend. I found you recently and still here. Thank you for being here, A-Night. I appreciate it. If you are looking to trade, Heath is your man. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a trader, we trade here. We do this shit for real. Every day. Every single day. We even look for trade entries on the weekend. Because I don't like trading on the weekends because it's more difficult, naturally. You get a lot more random market violence on the weekends. Price action isn't as keen to stick to the levels we want it to. But we will, if there is an opportunity, we will take it. For sure. Yeah. All right. I will let you out. Give me 5 seconds. Mr. Boss Man. S&P 500 trading well under that. So we'll see what happens here. But, I mean, it's looking like a rejection on the day. And typically that's what we look to do. We look to sell bullish moves. But we do got news coming up. So we could see, a sideways day for the rest of the day. We'll see how it plays out. Let's see if we got anything moving on the hot list over here. Let's see what has been trading the most volume today. You got Dice, Lays, FORG, AMV. You got one that's really moving, and that's about it. Just Dice. LASE is up 50%. I mean, that's a big move, but not for little stocks. This thing's up big, and it's not a little stock. So it is not the leading volume on the day. AMV is 361 million shares of volume traded. Big stuff there. But that's still quite a bit of volume. Big spike up. There's definitely some news has that thing doing that. Daily resistances. Let's see here. That looks like a buyout, but the way it's acting, I doubt it is. There's literally nothing, no resistance levels that I can give you. So you're breaking out above all-time highs on Dice. I'd stay away from that. Let's go see what Lay's is doing. 850 million shares of volume traded. Nothing on that either. This thing hasn't been open very long. What is Tesla doing today? I know someone wants to see Tesla. Tesla didn't respect any support levels because of that news breaking out last week. This is the level that we were watching for the lowest support. It did get a bounce on Wednesday of last week, but like I said, that news broke out and boom, down it went. You got a couple other daily support levels there you could look at, or weekly support is here. It doesn't really match up with the daily support, but let's see how the week closes on it. See if it's had enough of the sell side. That's a pretty expanded move to the downside. Just look at that. That was bad news. I don't think it was, but it is. I mean, the market took it as terrible news. The Twitter deal went through. Where is Twitter trading at? Probably $49, $50. $50, I figured as much. I think he's buying it for 54 million. I mean, yeah, the shares, you know what I mean? Not 54 million, it's billions of dollars he's paying for Twitter, but I think he's buying the company at the share price of $54. Or is it 52? That would explain why that's the high. Big move up on Twitter. PayPal was asked of me to watch on Monday. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, so I wasn't able to watch it, but it does look like you broke down. And it's getting more move to the downside today. Yeah, it's having a brutal move down this morning. PayPal. There goes NASDAQ dropping. Let's get this gone because we know where it's at. We know it's right there at the daily support level. It's not really holding up. See, this is not what you want to see if you think that buying daily support is going to be a good idea. Bitcoin looks a little bit better because it's still hanging out, but if you get continued downside on this and that, it's going to look bad. Here's your SPY. Oh, we got a level there. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's just last week's low. Yeah, the entire bullishness of last week is gone. That's last week's low. Let's see if it breaks down. That might be a good spot to watch to be a buyer. But you don't want to see a big vicious down candle through that. You would just want to see like a breakdown and an instant bounce like here on NASDAQ. Yes, baby. Give me a second. Yeah, get pissy. Go ahead. Just give me a second. He wants me to let him out. Let me go let him out. He is the boss. Yeah, that's a pretty nice little move there on the NQ futures. SPY coming down to last week's low. S&P 500 is down on the day, though, 0.8%. Bitcoin bouncing off of daily support. Good morning, Brian. How are you, my friend? Yes, pure TA. Absolutely. That's all we do here. We do it real. PayPal still just, it looks like it may find a bounce here. It's been broken down. I mean, that was a vicious 3 days on PayPal. That's just going to be based solely on the news that happened on Tesla, more than likely. But if you take out last week's low on SPY and you start to bounce, 357 calls might not be a bad idea. I'm not going to tell you to buy them. I mean, I don't know how you would analyze, or you have to be able to do your own risk management on that. Typically, when you buy premium, you're risking whatever you buy. That's typically how that works, but you still don't want that to be much more than a couple percent of your overall equity in the account. And I typically would do it with a couple weeks out of the like the expiration date. Don't do it this week. Don't do it a couple days away, because just the time decay on the options alone will absolutely destroy your premium. If you're going to day trade options, you want to do it a couple weeks out. So that way, you know, something like this happens, your option don't just drop $5 a second. Because on 100 contracts, that's quite a bit of money. Or one lot isn't, though. It's a couple bucks, depending on the expiration. I don't have my laptop open, and I don't have Thinkorswim on this platform, or on this computer. On the streaming computer, that is. In Q1, pushing down. So you're right back under, right there's yesterday's low. And if I am mistaken, it's the lowest low of the bear market. It is. So you've already made a fresh bear market low today on the NASDAQ, and you're currently trading at it. Where did you bounce today? Off of daily support, 11,035, spot 50. Friday the 30th of September's close. You traded right up to that today and reversed. Not this morning, though. This morning you just, the 50%, 6 or whatever it was, I can't remember. I had the fib on there. But you're into intraday support. Intraday support may hold here. Well, we have to revert back to the original support. So you don't want to see an hourly close below 10,892, spot 25. That's where you want to see it hold, meaning close above, if you expect it to still go a little bit higher. It could help. It would really help if it would get back above its open. There goes Bitcoin. See, just a bounce, just daily support. What is Ethereum doing? Same thing. Ethereum dropping all the way down, liquidating the early morning low. So did Bitcoin. NASDAQ didn't. SPY did. Next low for Bitcoin to get under would be 19,028. You got a couple lows coming in there. Low of day is right here. That's last. It's like right under last week's low. I mean, just like $8 lower than last week's low. Yeah, all the short positions that I'm in for Bitcoin are all well up into profits. That I did have my stop loss trailed right above that 275 number though, because if it traded up, I wanted to exit that position and re-enter a new position. I hate getting short at the lows. Low of day for which asset run mountains. Took some at 19,125 looking for another take profit area. So you must be short. If you've already taken profits and moved your stop to break even, don't even worry about it. Just leave whatever you have on. If you're over leveraged and it's still a substantial amount of money, then go ahead and cut it in half. Because you want it to be a low, and like you want to take enough money off the initial trade, so that way, you know, it feels good for taking the money, but you're also leaving a significant size of the position still on for any continuation. We don't aim for continuation. We want it. We just don't always get it. Like I said, CPI is going to be a big news day, and that's Thursday. I actually honestly thought that you would see bullish price action today and potentially tomorrow into the CPI. You've heard that buy the rumor, sell the news. But it also acts the same way on the lows. They could be selling the rumor to buy the news, which is why we have to be very careful about taking new short positions this low in the overall range. This took out last week's low, and it happened on today's range. So this could end up being the low of day. Just because it liquidated last week's low. See, in Q, it pretty much did the same thing. That would be last week's range down there, but it did it yesterday. And then today, you just took out yesterday's low. And now it looks like you're trying to make a fresh, brand new low on the NASDAQ. This will be a fresh bear market low down here, ladies and gentlemen. After being made during the London session, was the low of day, was made during the London session. So you might get another chance to take profits lower on Bitcoin if this continues to play out here. Where is the Dow at? Is it, because it was leading the way on the bear market. Let's go see if it's making fresh bear market lows. No, it's not. But there's your bear market lows on the Dow. Let me look at the futures though. The CFDs, because there's no gaps in this. Oh no, you got a ways to go for fresh bear market lows on the Dow. This is your fresh bear market low. You got a long ways to go on the Dow. The Dow actually looks pretty decent compared to NASDAQ and the SPX. That is. Yeah, it looks better. See here on NASDAQ, you've wiped out all of the last 3 hours worth of gains. On this one, you've just taken out the last hour's low. That's it. There could be more downside in store for it, though, because now what you got, since you did take out the low, is you have a resistance level. So that's going to be potential supply if you close under it. And then you'll have resistance at 29,190. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out here. We got 8 or 7 minutes left on the hourly close. That's a pretty nasty move, though. Coming in right after the open. S&P just made a fresh new lows. PayPal looking to fine you $2,500 if you say nothing. They don't. If you say something they don't like. What? Oh my gosh. Well, see, Elon Musk doesn't own PayPal anymore, so it's not his company anymore, anyways. But yeah, that's a terrible thing to do here in America, where you do have the freedom of speech. It sounds to me like California is trying to set precedent for the country. Tech companies are trying to police the nation, or at least the Republicans. The Democrats can say whatever they want, obviously. Just stay away from politics. The best advice I could give to anybody. Just ignore it. So what I'm talking about here on the Dow Jones is if you close under here in 7 minutes, then 29,152 and 29,190 will both be areas where people will look to take fresh short entries based solely on what they see going across other indices. S&P 500, it's not making a fresh low of day. This is still Tuesday. There's your low right there on the futures side. The SPY is making fresh lows, but not on the future side. NASDAQ's daily low is there at 10,853. The low for the Dow is down here. It occurred during the London session. So you got more meat on the bone for a short trade there. But they have different companies that make up the index as well. So if you got a couple companies in the Dow that's doing really good today, that'll keep this index looking better. We'll see how this hourly closes, and then we'll go on from there. Could you look to long oil here at daily support? Let's go look at oil. Yeah, I mean, oil's been a little bit, it's been a little bit bullish for the last couple weeks, or, the last 2 weeks, but overall it's still in a downtrend. One could argue that if you put a trend line on there, the trend line's been broken, so people will be looking to go long. There isn't a daily support up here, but there is an old resistance, and sometimes resistance can act as support. Support will be your bearish closes. That's support. Resistance is your bullish closes. So sometimes old resistance can act as support. So yeah, you do have a technical level of $88.97 that could absolutely act as support. Will it? I don't know. But if you look at the move that you've had as far as the bullish expansion, you're trying to buy it around the high. So your last big bullish day there, those are typically not the best places to be buyer at. So what you need to kind of do is wait on a retest of like something. Is this low enough? We'll see. It is a technical level. So the way I would approach this is if I was looking to be a buyer here, which I wouldn't be a buyer on oil right now. No, I just wouldn't. But if I was, if he started closing hourly candles under 88.97, I would leave it alone. Because to me, I needed to have a deeper correction. But if you throw your moving averages on it, it's not going to look that bullish. I mean, it looks good compared to the 21, your near term, but that would have been over in here, you'd have been looking for bullish entries. Like when you broke out about resistance there. So like the way I would have done it is I would have been looking to be a buyer after this happened, once you broke out and closed above the 21, on this day here, I would have been watching this area for potential support. It got front ran, so you didn't get a full on test of it, but that would have been the buying opportunity for me. And then I would have taken profits, moved my stop to break even, and then left it on to see what happened after. If it's going to continue to trend up, then you would have got in a little lower. So like, the trend may be trying to change back to the upside. But, I mean, right there is a death cross on oil. Right there. You see where the green 55 crosses the 200? That is a death cross. That's not a sell signal. It's just, it tells you something. That the market was so weak that your 200 crossed above your 50. That's typically bearish, not bullish. And on any pullback into the 200 is going to be looked at as a selling opportunity, not a buying opportunity. So when I say I would have been a buyer down here, it's just for the near term. Because overall, it's still structured to the bearish side. And the sellers have came right in, right there. Like, perfection. The death cross didn't happen until here. So the first retest of the 200 is typically looked at as a selling opportunity. That's just moving average trading. There goes Bitcoin breaking down. Nice. Nice. We got fresh daily lows on it. So that means yesterday's short position is looking good now. Remember what I told you here on the Dow? People would be looking to sell 29,150 and then any retest up into 29,190. Those are areas to look to be a seller. Bitcoin's got fresh lows on the week. And, well, just on the week. I don't know what I was thinking there. I was thinking about the entry yesterday at the weekly open. Phenomenal. Looking to get short today on Bitcoin there. Phenomenal. Just two phenomenal trades going off of one price level. The weekly open. I'm telling you guys, this kind of analysis works. And since you're bearish on the week, you look for sells early on in the week because there's a possibility that is your weekly high. That little tiny wick right there, that could be the high of this week. You're coming right back into weekly support though, so like that's going to be a level where people are going to be a buyer. 18,808. And the reason is going to be based solely on this. But let me get it over here on Bitcoin. And let's get over here on the weekly. So your volatility is starting to expand. It was at the lows here, starting to expand upwards. When we made this a trap, you can see that expansion was, or the volatility was moving to the upside a little bit. And your momentum oscillator, being the stochastics, is on oversold and has been oversold for a long freaking time. So like this was the last bullish hope here for the expansion of volatility to climb as price is climbing. If the expansion of volatility starts to climb, because this is a directional neutral thing, volatility is directional neutral. Volatility just measures the size of the expansion. So like if this thing starts to expand as price is breaking down below support again, then it's going to look like volatility is going to expand. And then that means you could see a really nasty down move for the next couple weeks. It being so oversold and have been so oversold for a long time was like the last bit of bullish hope. Because you broke down below support here on this week, Monday the 19th of September, you closed below support. Then the very next week you had a bullish expansion taking out the high of this candle, indicating that this could be the trap. If this is the trap, then that means you should get a bullish bounce at 18,808 if expansion is going to occur as price is moving higher. So this price, $18,808, that's the last chance for the bulls to rally this thing. We'll see if they do. So that's a good price to take profits. I didn't think you would see this price today. I really did not think that that would happen. But it is. Fresh lows, trying to make fresh lows on the S&P 500 now. Here's last week's lows. Same scenario goes in for the S&P 500. If you're going to see continuation to the downside, the weekly high could be in. My entry on Bitcoin yesterday is the open. That price is my entry. Or second entry, so it's not exactly perfectly there, but it's nice. Seeing a breakdown looks good to me. Will I close that position and be a buyer here? Probably not. Maybe on one of them. Maybe if it stalls out here, then maybe later on today or into tomorrow I might look to be a buyer there. But we'll see. But I don't think I'd be a buyer on oil just yet. You need a legit breakout on it for people to start buying it again. This is your first retest of, the 200 since making the death cross. So if anything, I mean, that was a perfect selling opportunity, not a buying opportunity. That's probably why you've gotten 2 days of bearishness. The algos just fire up there. People that still trade off of moving averages, they set bots and algos to do their position taking there. I don't trade off of them. I never could get a strategy good enough to actually make money by trading off of moving averages. I do better trading in between price ranges. So you got fresh lows on NASDAQ now. Fresh bear market lows on NASDAQ. Don't want to be a seller at fresh bear market lows. What a nice expansion off of that level. I mean, perfection. We were looking at 19,250 to be where today's intraday high would be. Let's see, 2000 hours is your open. Yeah, that's your daily high right there. So that called the daily high. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to see. $19,250. Straight down, fresh daily lows, fresh weekly lows. Still not fresh bear market lows. The September low is still intact. September low is going to be the bear market target for October. Got a fresh monthly expansion going on. You're 10 days into this monthly range. You made a high, traded back down to the open. If it was going to be bullish, you would have wanted to see the bullish expansion from there. But you didn't. You fell through the open. Also, last month you broke below monthly support, which is there. That's why I said, as long as price is under this, I am bearish. 2 tests of it and failed, both of them. This weekly liquidated this weekly candle, and as soon as it happened, you got a bearish reaction. Never came back. And then the same thing happened here. You got a little bit of a bullish reaction for the early part of the week. It liquidated last week's high and instantly got a bearish reaction. That's why I said I was not that's not bullish to me. Bullish would have been closing well above last week's high. So a closure in here last week would have had me looking for bullish entries. And we've already liquidated last week's low, so if we were going to get any kind of bullish price action from that fact alone, you think you would have done it on the first attempt. Over here. That happened last night during the Asian session. But look at price. Getting right back above it. The bear market, or the bearish target for the S&P 500 is still last week's low. Let's see if it gets down there. It's got a ways to go yet. NASDAQ pushing after making fresh bear market lows. That's fresh 2022 lows going on the NASDAQ right now. People get bullish when they see this stuff, and you shouldn't. You got to change your mindset. You got to stop being a retail trader. Stop looking at this as a bullish move. Look at it as a selling opportunity. And that was like a beautiful test of the fib. That was just yesterday's range that I fibbed there. And the seller showed right back up. That's a nasty close. This is behind. That should have closed 10 minutes ago. So let me get off this thing. I thought that was real time. No, I want indices. So what would it be? NDQ? Yeah, there's your real time data. No, it's not even real time data. It should say 49 minutes left on this too. What the hell's going on here? Oh, that's because this thing opened at 9:30. Never mind. That's why. I guess. I don't know what's going on here. So I don't have real-time data. I have real-time data on the on the minis, on the S&P 500. No, I don't. Okay. All right, there it is. This should be No, it's not. That's not either. That is. Oh well, who gives a crap? UK's looking pretty bad too today. Moving down after having a nice bullish rally. DAX down. Hang Seng down. Nikkei down. What's the IWM doing? Do I have real-time data on that at least? Yes. It's trading at the lows. Last week's lows. It's still got a way to go though. Everything's getting crushed now. There's your just regular standard stocks. Apple, AMD, Amazon, Bank of America, Ford, Facebook, Fiverr, Google, Intel. All that stuff is all red. O'Reilly's up. O'Reilly is always up. This thing never, it's like it doesn't ever experience a bear market. O'Reilly, like anytime it does get a bear market, just buy it. They must make money, so much money, because they're always just going straight freaking up. I mean, it's trading at It's trading at weak high resistance. Look at that. Weak high resistance. Like damn near all-time highs, this thing. And O'Reilly's just an auto parts dealer. That's a retailer. An auto parts retailer. Like Napa or Advanced Auto Parts. But it's the best stock I've ever seen. As far as performance-wise, everything else is in bear market. Not O'Reilly. Walmart's up. Let's see what they're doing today. They're not up big, but they're up. I have to get rid of that because that's old stuff. Yeah, they had a nasty move lower, but they're not trading on the lows either. Right here's your June lows, May lows, Walmart. There might be a selling opportunity still, though, if inflation keeps going lower. We're not that bearish. We're waiting on Thursday. Thursday we'll have a little bit more on what to watch. Did pound yen reject? See, I'm watching pound yen for the short because of this. Yeah, pound yen, I think you can short pound yen. This is the weekly open. So 161, 432 or 161, 351. I think this is going to roll over. Order flow looks bearish for the last couple weeks. Ignore this big ass move because we all know that that was the pound and the yen that did that. But you can see here that you're still right on the week. So maybe it was just a retest of the open and it found the sellers. If it does, look for it to slowly trade off and away again. So I'll be watching this for a potential short entry after we get off the stream because I don't think we're going to get a test of it. If we do, I'll take the trade. What does pound yen look like? Because it's a little bit different on Oanda and Forex.com. There's Oanda's weekly open. I was watching it this morning, but it didn't set a resistance. You see how the hourly closes kept getting higher and higher. What I need to see is this, right? Because this tells me that now there is a potential resistance. So an hourly close above 161.505 would let me know that I'm probably wrong. If it gets back up there and tags that, that would be my short entry stop above the high of day. So the setup on pound yen would look like this. Take profits, move the stop to break even, and then see if we sit in it for weeks and weeks and weeks to the downside. And one last thing that I do want to discuss is this trade that I set up, AUD CAD. I mentioned to everybody that I thought that this thing had room to go, and then that this was my target there. And I mentioned it on this day, looking for shorts. But what happened was I got short on this day. It was a fantastic trade. I took profits, moved my stop to break even. And then over here, it came back and stopped me out and then rolled right over. So we were watching for potential new short entries at 0 spot 89306 because this is our target. You can see yesterday we took that target out. And then the other thing that we were watching for shorts, AUD, NZD, just cuz, is now rolling over. Had a big day today. And it was a phenomenal weekly supply test right there. So, I mean, that would have been the area for the entry right there. I just didn't get it. Damn it. So we'll have to wait and see if it gives us a retest of support. This is going to be support. So one spot 13120 will potentially be short entries there, or all the way up to supply 13304. But I still think this has a long ways to go. I think this is going to be a potential trend change on Aussie New Zealand. I mean, just look at this growth. It's time for it to revert back to the downside because this asset always sucks. Right? Look at that fresh liquidation of a long-term 2015 swing high. Look at that liquidation. Yep. And pretty much an instant bearish reaction. Because that day closed red when it happened. Liquidation, down. That would have been the entry on it. It is what it is. We'll miss some, but we catch a lot of them. We catch enough of them. You're lagging. Yeah, I know. My internet is bogging down. I'm starting to drop frames. That's why I'm wrapping it up. You guys have a fantastic day. Next time we'll be live is going to be on Thursday, and we're going to be looking for the CPI. We're going to be waiting for that. When we get that number, that's going to tell us a lot about what we can look for and how the market reacts, obviously. So make sure you join me there. CPI is at 8:30. So Thursday, we will be going live a little bit earlier than we did today. We'll probably start at 8 a.m.